What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi, Eric Sheets, We're going to be talking through this NFL NFL 13 game slate from a first look perspective. There's some, I think, some fun DFS games this week. I'm kind of excited. I'm a little, I'm still. It always takes when things aren't going well and you're on a sort of a losing streak. They stick with you more than other ones. But like that, the likely play was an immediate sign. Okay, my whole week was over because I had likely everywhere and I had him with Lamar and I would have put Lamar up. Anyway, the whole thing was frustrating last week. I feel like I've run a little bit bad with some injury variants and stuff like that lately, like all of the Amon-Ra and all the everything, but the slate that I ended up winning on Thanksgiving. So I'm ready to have a week that I just want a cleanish week. I'm sure I'll have some guys injured. Fine. I'd rather it not be my main guys. That's my first thing. How about you, Sheets? Any overall thoughts on this week?
Same thing as I mentioned last week. That couple of things you have to consider as we get down towards the end of the season here. One is that the difference between good weather games and bad weather games is really wide with respect to weather impact. Back in August and September, you have a difference between a game in New England and a game in a dome was nothing. Not nothing, but was very little because New England was 65 degrees. But now, it's just now you're going to get these Buffalo games in 0 degrees and Cleveland's in 0 degrees. And so those differences are going to be pretty dramatic. So that's one thing that you're going to see. Mm-hmm. The other thing is motivations down the stretch. Teams that are really playing for something, it's you like to think that everybody's a professional and everybody will play, whatever. But football's a rough sport, man. I mean, are you really going to, just fight through 17 blockers and chase a freaking dude down when you're 5-11, you know what I mean? As opposed to the teams fighting for these wild card berths. So you run into a team that one team is just kind of just cruising through the season. The other one's really playing for stuff. Listen, I'm always a nice contrarian. I'll say, okay, just play the team that doesn't need to win against the spread, whatever. But in DFS, I mean, when you really need max ceiling performances, that's not good enough. I mean, you really need to be putting out max effort to get max ceiling. So you get situations like that, and I think they're worth really pounding on. Not to mention the fact that if you're a team that the Lions or somebody in week 4, you're up 11 on a team in the 4th or whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, you'll just kind of play whatever. But if you really need to win and you're up 11, you're freaking putting the hammer on. You know what I mean? There's no room for error. So I wouldn't worry too much about blowout risk. You know what I mean? Like that down the stretch with teams that need to win games.
Well, I will point out one thing that I feel a little bit less worried about, tanking, for example. I actually worry more about tanking at the end of the NBA season because this draft is not a strong draft. And it is a draft where the teams that even might be like Tennessee, for example, who could pick one, they're not going to take a quarterback. They're going to trade down, but I don't know what they're trading down for. I think it's a really weak draft. I'm sure there'll be great players and people can whatever aggregate this information if I had any more of a platform, whatever. But I do think I've been relieved to see everybody. I feel is playing their all out, trying to win every game.
But not only that, but tanking in football is not. I mean, it's not as. I mean, basketball, it's so easy to tank without even being overt about it. I mean, you play your guys less minutes, you know, and the players can play hard. That won't matter. You know what I mean? You play your worst players, they're just going to lose. You know what I mean? And football, it's not so easy. You can't just say, I'm benching Mahomes now for the whole. You know what I mean? There's only 16 games, and the fans won't have it. You know what I mean? You're gonna get until listen. If it's the last week of the season and you need to shut a guy down, okay, that's one thing. But
Yeah.
So I guess we'll just kind of get started. We'll use again. The cool thing is, it's my favorite content of the week because I have no projections that are poisoning me. I'm literally just looking at this for the first time, and just kind of going with what I think should happen. So the first game, I mean, you have almost a weird situation because Chicago has been a team that we'd like to kind of attack or whatever, and we'd like to kind of play them, but it's so funny. First of all, I'd like to say that it's going to fly in the face of the results from last week, but Cleveland's usually a team where fantasy points go to die, except last week when you had the two teams that are least likely to score points
in terrible weather.
Both scored the most.
Right.
Right. So Cleveland, I don't know if Shadur Sanders is going to be popular this week, like going into Chicago at like minimum cost, coming off of a slate breaking performance. I don't know about any of this. You know what I mean? Like, listen, good on him for getting that thing, but I don't know. I'm just a little suspicious about it. In Chicago again, I just don't feel like playing the fantasy players against Cleveland. That's just my thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I actually thought it's like I looked at the line and it's kind of a respectful 7.5 for Chicago. I thought this game could have been like it wouldn't have surprised me if it was like 11.5 or 12.5, But Cleveland, I mean, I don't know what to make of Shedeur. I guess the first thing that stands out is I do like the Bears defense. I also think that, again, Burden and Moore are really cheap, and you do have a team that plays man coverage, and you have Ben Johnson as a I don't necessarily want to play Caleb Williams, but you can get a very cheap stack if you did want to play Caleb Williams. And I like Moore and Burden again. I even think you could make a case for Zacchaeus, as a super cheap option that's going to be on the field. Colston Loveland, another one. On the other side, it's a weak defense, but it's a good defense in Cleveland, but they do get in these sort of wonky situations. And with the man coverage, I feel like there's a chance one of Moore Burden has a strong game. I don't really want the running backs, even though they've been good. I don't really want them in this matchup. I don't mind going right back to Judkins. I feel like some of the variance was not quite on his side last week, and partly they kept running that obvious play from the 2-yard line, and he couldn't get in. Right. I don't mind Judkins, and I actually like Jerry Jeudy more than I probably have all season, and I like Harold Fannin a little bit. So I have some pieces in this game that I'm nothing that's a huge target, but I do think there's some pieces you can probably use from this game that make some sense. We'll just see where they rank compared to some of these other spots, because we got a pretty good one here to try to attack, and we kind of know what to do with it.
I guess. I mean, like, I almost wanted to say that Lamar's dead to me. You know what I mean? I don't know what the guy has to.
I mean, if Likely catches that ball, Lamar is the second highest scoring quarterback on the week.
Oh, is that right?
Minimum. And that's with him not playing very well. So just throwing that out there.
But in fairness, I mean, like, he didn't play well, and they kind of, I won't say let them, but they were like down 2 touchdowns, and he just kind of just waltzed down the field at one time. But yeah, I mean, Cincinnati every week is kind of like Coors Field, whether they're playing at home or on the road. Yeah. And I mean, just go right back to all these cats, on both sides of the ball. Go right back to Burrow, and let's see if T. Higgins plays. I think he's back in concussion protocol.
I don't even understand how they let him back on the field on Sunday.
Yeah,
he was clearly concussed.
So we're going to see what happens with that. But in either case, Chase is honestly relatively cheap at 8,100. If Higgins doesn't play, I mean that's
it's tough to fade.
That's a rough fade, honestly. And then you'll go back to the Yeshivias and the Tinsley and the what's his name, the Jaceki experience. So all these Bengals look good. And I mean, that was a really good take by you with respect to the Cincinnati Buffalo game last week. With respect that, okay, the rain and the wind and the snow, whatever, it doesn't really have effect to quarterbacks that just like can throw the ball 100 miles an hour out of their hand. And Burrow is really looking sharp right now, and Baltimore's kind of reeling a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that Cincinnati can put up some stuff, and like you said, I mean, Lamar is against Cincinnati can certainly put up a big number too. They did, like, if you want to play Isaiah Likely, the thing I would mention, I don't know, I don't even get it, but they just re-signed, like.
They did it before last week, though, and who got all the work? It was Likely.
Yeah, I guess. So Andrews with a big extension. So, yeah, I mean, Flowers and Bateman and Andrews and Likely and Lamar by himself. And, I thought of you when freaking Keaton Mitchell broke it out into the –
and then he gets hurt.
Into the open field, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
Can't quite do it in Classic, but, again, I'm sure that you'll talk me into doing it in early slate if, in fact, he plays. In fact, he plays. But yeah, obviously this game is. I don't even know what the total is. It's got to be big. And
it's 52.5.
and these guys. Listen, we'll get to. There's a whole bunch of games here that kind of stink. So I think this game is right off the bat probably a very, very strong win to target.
Yeah, the only thing is, so I love everything in this game. We'll see about the weather and everything like that. But even still, like, I think this is the Derrick Henry. It's going to happen this game. I feel like we're going to get the big performance. Not that we haven't had some decent ones or whatever, but I think this is going to be his big game. So Cincinnati's defense, they cannot stop the run. In general, they're not great against the passing game, but they're really good against number one receivers, which is kind of a weird one. So maybe a little less interest in Zay Flowers than I normally would have. But I really like Henry. I really like Chase, and then we'll see about Higgins as a question mark. I don't know what to do with that one yet. If Higgins is out, another one who benefits, I think, is Chase Brown. And I would say that in the early slate. And by the way, I don't care at all what any thought. I think likely is too cheap. Look, it's consistent work, and the amount of variance that has gone against him is incredible.
That was ridiculous last week.
The touchdown last week, but then the weird one dropping it at the goal line the week before against the same Cincinnati team.
Right.
So he would be 4,500 or 4,400. Instead, he's 3,400. So you're getting a drastic discount. And by the way, if you want to take a shot with Andrews, go ahead. I just will point out that there's no big downfield plays. You could get him near the goal line. It just has not been pretty. And unfortunately, one of the few things that Baltimore's defense does reasonably well, I guess reasonably well, is guarding tight ends. And Gesicki is still on my list, but he's not quite as high as Likely and the Baltimore guys and Andrews. But I think this is a game where you're probably going to have to get it right to have a chance. And maybe getting it right might not be anything, but that for me, it's going to be very, very heavily throughout my lineups everywhere, pretty much, except for one afternoon game that we'll talk about in a little bit.
So Arizona, Houston. So Houston's probably a 7-point favorite. I'm just guessing. Their defense is just like really, really strong right now. And Nick Chubb got taken out of the game after getting hurt last week. If he's I mean, I don't even think it matters if he's out or not, but if he's out, I mean, I haven't looked at the rest of the card yet, but this Marks has to be the most popular running back. I mean, I'm just imagine. I mean, he's literally the only guy. Now, with that said, they did bring in the Ogunbowale to get the touchdown at the goal line. Last week, but I don't know. I don't think that matters. I think it's SaberSim. And again, I don't know what. We'll take a look at the price, but I would imagine that the Texans defense. They're a little expensive. I was going to say that they're going to probably look pretty good in general, and then you're going to get that correlation anyway. With Marks. So right off the bat, I mean, it looks like Marks is going to be a really, really good play. Stroud, I sung his praises with his results against this past week, and why not? I mean, like Collins is expensive, so not even expensive, 67. Everybody else is like 4K and below. So I do like the Houston offense, and I mean, normally, what I would just say, I mean, just keep on going back to Arizona and all their backdoor, yardage capabilities. But Houston's no joke. I don't know if I can do it. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I agree that Woody Marks has got to be one of the core plays if in fact we do have Chubb out. And the only thing I would say is that they do I was going to say Ali for Baltimore is an interesting early slate play. I'm not totally against the Ogunbowale first, again, for the early slate, but it's probably too big of even an early slate to do that. But I just wanted to throw it out there. It's not the dumbest thing. I do like Woody Marks. I do like Nico Collins. I'm less interested in, and I have a little interest in Dalton Schultz, but Marks is the main one for me. Stroud I don't love to play him because the ceiling is not always that great. Doesn't feel that great with him.
Yeah.
But it is Arizona, and we did see, I mean, the Rams did whatever they want to him. Arizona is sort of dead in the water this season. They still mostly fight hard. I just can't find anything on the Arizona side to talk myself into. Well, what do we do with this? Because Michael Wilson, I mean, this is crazy. His numbers averaging out with, look at these targets. He's had 15 or more targets in 3 of the last 4 games. I don't even care if the matchup's that tough if you're going to get that many targets. You get in the end zone once and you catch 10 balls, even if they're little drop-offs. I just feel like maybe we have to consider Wilson, and maybe this is the 1 week people don't play him. Am I crazy? I don't know what they're going to do with him. What do you think?
Yeah, it's the one thing about Arizona, like I said, when they are down, they throw the ball every single play.
Yeah, they do that anyway.
Wilson's always there. I don't think Harrison's going to play, by the way. Why would he want to? Why would he want to play against this team anyway?
Why do you want Harrison playing in general? Would be a better question. This is your number one. Michael Wilson's a better receiver right now than Harrison is. I don't know why it's even up for it's not even close. Michael Wilson has been the best receiver like in the NFL statistics wise since without Harrison. If I were them, I would. I mean, yeah, wait till Harrison for next year. Tell Harrison he's the wide receiver 2 coming in and make him earn his job. He doesn't play hard. Drives me nuts. Sorry.
All right. Jets, Jacksonville. I guess. Because Jacksonville's rolling now, and there's gonna be a game where the Jets don't play hard. And I haven't gotten there yet. You know what I mean? Like they always seem to play hard, but it's gonna be a game where they don't. And maybe this could be the one. I don't even know who's quarterbacking for the Jets next week. Who knows? I'm not that person that's going to do this though, like the Jets stuff, like the Jets quarterback with Adonai Mitchell and stuff like that. I see people doing it, and I know it worked well 2 weeks ago, and that last week not as much. I don't know. I think if anything, I'll play some Jacksonville offensive guys. I don't really feel like playing Etienne, Thomas, Myers. If Washington is back, it's going to make the distribution a little bit wider. How did Strange end up doing that? That was one I kind of liked last week.
He had some decent plays. It was a weird game, but there was one where he got tackled just short, like at the 1 yard line. That was kind of so it didn't quite get there. But I mean, like he was fine. It wasn't like he didn't have a good game numbers wise, but it's because of that one play.
Yeah, I don't know. The game seems a little, I don't know, kind of blah to me. I don't know. What do you like here?
Yeah, it always makes me nervous. I agree, but it always makes me nervous to blah the Jacksonville because there's I think there's some upside with this team.
Okay.
But I think that the best thing is probably just their defense. I don't really know how Brady Cook is going to be able to get away with it. I wouldn't cross off Breece Hall if he's available, but I don't know if he's going to be available. Brian Thomas Jr., I'm expecting will have a big game at some point. He actually looked a little more engaged last week. We'll see about Parker Washington, but yeah, probably on a day where there's a lot of good games. Unfortunately, this game probably has good weather. It looks like it's nice, as at least predicted to be nice now. But I think my favorite part of this game is definitely the Jags defense, and that might be the top. Well, there's a lot of good ones on the slate, but that's one of them. Jags and Houston are both awesome.
What's Jags' price?
They're 39, but I don't know that pricing is going to matter as much. I have a feeling we're going to get a lot of value by the time this week's over.
Okay.
That's my guess. All right. Good real-life game, Chargers. I just want to point one thing out that's kind of driven me crazy. First of all, I hate the race baiting side of it, and I also hate the way that people talk about Justin Herbert. I watched that entire game. I did not miss a snap. Justin Herbert was not good. He was hurt, obviously. His left arm was hurt. He was fine. He battled through a few things. He made a lot of bad throws. He made a few good throws. He basically had the same game Jalen Hurts did, and Jalen Hurts got talked about as if he was the worst quarterback in history, and Justin Herbert was being talked about as if he was the greatest quarterback in history, and they basically played the same game, in my opinion, a very, very similar game. Now, I don't buy into that it's all race things. I think people have this love affair with Justin Herbert, and I just didn't think he was particularly sharp, and I feel very nervous for him going to face the Chiefs in a must-win for the Chiefs in KC. So anyway, with that said, Sheets, what do you like in this one?
I mean, as with most things, it's pretty the Twitter sphere and the entire universe of human beings are very results oriented, and Chargers got the win, and they got the miracle win, right? And the Eagles took the miracle loss. So if Hurts goes down and gets that last touchdown, Hurts is resilient, right?
Right.
And you know what I mean? And then you look at Herbert's statistics or whatever it is. Tough, but no good, right? And because the guy had the tip and got the interception. The whole thing is different. Okay.
Yeah.
The fact is that neither of them were great, to say the least.
Right.
I think this game is going to be very ugly. I think that if I'd like anything on either side of this, maybe like some Chiefs offensive players. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Rice was completely invisible last week, so maybe he would be the one to come back. You have Kelsey, who was kind of whining and not talking to the press after the games. Maybe he comes back, whatever. But I think KC would be kind of just content with a win. You know what I mean? So I don't know, like, if this is like the Chiefs opening up the playbook and and put the ceilings up is in the offing. And I don't want to play the Chargers only because, again, the one thing I did notice about that last week's game when they played Houston is, now you mentioned that Houston's offensive line is not great, but dude, KC's defense was really good. Okay, they brought a lot of freaking heat, and I don't know how much of that Herbert can take. I mean, to be honest, like in a must-win game in Kansas City and all that stuff. So I think Kansas City gets this done. I think they get it done with a very good defensive effort and some 17-9 game or something like that, and that's going to be not particularly viable for fantasy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. These teams played on opening night, and it was a 54.5 total. It was like the second, the Friday, the first week, so the second night of the season. And now you've got a 41 total between these teams. It's really hard, too, because the Chiefs are going to throw the ball. That's what they do. But the Chargers are the second best team against the pass in football. So it's really hard to find what we would even like in this game. I can't find it, but I also can't shake the oh my God, if this ends up like 35, 31 or something, I might feel really bad about this. Maybe I'll just have to deal with it because I can't find plays that make a lot of logical sense to me in this game, especially with the double running backs now for the Chargers. For a while, man, I thought I was going to be printing because I had all the Vidal. That was my final play. I ended up not locking in, but I had 45% of a guy who was 8% owned. And I had him as captain, and Vidal and Hampton were together a ton, and it looked like it was going to be a beauty, but it didn't quite get there. Anyway, I don't know what to, as of right now. I'm kind of off this game for DFS, which I did not think I could say about a KC Chargers game, especially in a must-win for KC. Maybe you just say F all the numbers where we're going to play Rashee Rice anyway. I guess that's probably the most logical thing, but really hard to justify any of these plays just given the matchup. All right, Buffalo and New England, and talk about disrespect. And look, Dave Portnoy wrote one of the dumbest things, which he does pretty much every day. It's sort of on brand for him just to say the dumbest thing you've ever heard, like every day. He said it was the most offensive thing that's ever happened to him in his life. And I said, what a privileged life you must lead, because
what?
The fact that in this game that Buffalo is favored in New England.
I wouldn't characterize it the way he characterized it, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't think, but he's not wrong.
It's the so here's one thing I'll point out to people that I actually think this could be a little scarier. Like missing your left tackle, you may not have been tested last week. You're going to be tested this week a little bit. I don't believe in the Bills' defense that much, but they can get a pass rush going. And I have a feeling that things might come crashing down one of these days. I think May is awesome, but I don't think that every game is going to be this. He's perfect or whatever. Having said all that, it's really hard to ignore this game from a DFS perspective. What do you think about this one?
I mean, this is one of those things where I'm really glad I really don't bet sports. Okay,
you just in on it.
I would send it in on New England like every which freaking way and probably lose. You know what I mean? Like it's so obvious to play New England at home as the underdog when they're 9-2 and they already. Didn't they beat Buffalo at Buffalo? You know what I mean?
That was the one I bet on where they were big underdogs.
I mean, for me, I mean, like I'm staying away from that one. You know, I mean, if I looked at this and I saw, well, Buffalo was an 8-point favorite at home against New England, and now they're now it's only now there's, I don't know. I agree though. No, I was gonna say that it's probably good for fantasy purposes, but I'll tell you this, like New England's defense is tough. Mm-hmm. Now with that said, we've talked about this. they've not exactly played like, the greatest schedule. Okay.
Yeah.
And they gave up some stuff against Cincinnati down the stretch. Now, Cincinnati's obviously a better offense. But yeah, my problem with playing New England is, as usual, is my same problem with playing Buffalo. Is I don't know who to play.
Right.
I know to play Drake May. Great. I know to play Josh Allen. Great. But I don't know who else to play. And you know what? Last week made the same case, and Josh Allen smashed. And if you asked me who smashed alongside with him, I couldn't even tell you. I'm sure it was somebody. Somebody had to score a lot of points, but I don't know who it is, and I don't know what's going to be in advance. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I'm not playing James Cook against New England.
No.
But it's going to be one of those things where I'm probably going to be under on both these teams because I just don't know what receivers to play.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't mind. I don't mind Shakir. I actually feel like Gabe Davis has been getting some looks lately and just hasn't really produced for a big one. But he's 3,600. I'm just throwing out wild cards. I still think no matter who you can play him with, I don't know if you need to figure out someone with Josh Allen. I really don't. The upside is too high. He's averaging like 25.5. I mean, and by the way, a better defense, bring it on. That means it's more of a must. I need to take over situation, and that means his legs are moving. So I will point out when these teams played last, Stephon Diggs, and not so surprisingly in the rematch against his former whatever, the revenge game, it's the one game he's had all season long, like where he had 27 fantasy points in that game. I don't hate Stephon Diggs. Oddly, I want to play like Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs, but they're on different teams. So, and then both tight ends are in play for me. But I just have this game. I know I want pieces of it. I just don't know what exact. Like you said. Like I don't know exactly which they are. You got Ramondre and Travion, which again you want to run the ball on Buffalo, but neither of these guys are like taking the number one reins, so it's a little tricky. I know I'm going to have exposure here, but outside of Allen, May, and maybe some Diggs, I'm not really sure who else I really want to play here. I think you could make a pretty decent argument for Kincaid. I guess he would be probably the most desirable guy. You got, that's New England's weakest spot on defense is their tight end defense. So, yeah, I guess Kincaid is one.
Washington Giants. Jaden Daniels is out, and I just don't want to play Mariota. On the Giants side, yeah, I mean, Dart's been putting up numbers. Who do you play him with? With Wan'Dale Robinson, I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Weather's going to be cold, but not that cold, actually. It's not going to be that bad. Weather's going to be just kind of like okay. What's Tyrone Tracy's price this week? I guess, let's see. Is he under 5? Is he under, what is he, under 6K? Let's see. He is, well, first of all, he's questionable. Oh, God. Wait a minute. Contusion, he expects to be fine. Yeah, I mean, Tyrone Tracy, 5,500. I guess that's not bad. It's actually a pretty, it's a direct pivot from Marks. And the Giants are going to be not as big of a favorite, but with Daniels out, Giants have to be at least a 3-point favorite. No, I'm not sure.
Giants 2.5, yeah.
2.5. So yeah, why not? Tyrone Tracy with the Q tag all week, then let him play. I'll take a shot. So Tyrone Tracy, maybe I'm underestimating this game. I don't know. What again, these are just my first instincts. What do you think?
Yeah, I wish that the Giants. I just wish we had Jameis for this game because I think he would go completely nuts. Although then again, he'd be like 20% on.
I mean, Dart puts up a lot of fantasy points.
Not like. I mean, he doesn't throw the ball like he's running the ball. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to pair him. Like I mean, what he actually doesn't have as many. Early in the season, he had a lot more rushing attempts. They haven't let him run quite as crazy since he came back.
Well, they fired the coach pretty much because of it.
Yeah, fair enough. Theo Johnson. That's the play I like from this game. I like the game in general, and I'm trying to find the plays that I like because I think that this could get a little wonky. The Giants have been in a lot of these, and we know that Washington gets into weird games every week pretty much. The wide receivers are super cheap. I think Mariota stacks make some sense. I think that Jackson Dart to Robinson makes some sense. So I'm kind of in on all of this, but Yeah, there's McLaurin and CD and Debo both being there are a little bit okay. Yeah, sure, it could hurt, but this could be a really wild one, and they're cheap enough. You can get a nice cheap game stack without even the quarterbacks. But Theo Johnson, Wandale Robinson, and then Debo followed by McLaurin would be my favorite pieces. I do kind of like Darius Slayton as well. So I just have this whole game as a good potential. But I like Theo Johnson. I think he's the one I feel not the best about, but 3,500, good cheap tight end option. I like it.
All right, so I'm gonna be the sucker. Okay, so Vegas Philly. Here's my commentary on this game. I think it's gonna probably end up being 38-0. I think Philly is going to read the headlines a little bit from last week. It's a soft matchup, and I think they're going to put the hammer on them. And I think I might change my mind with who could be the most popular running back. I was going to see whether like Barkley was 9K or 8,800, and I'm looking down the list here, and he's 7,100, and he looked pretty freaking good the other day. I mean, this has got to be a play. All right, so that's the first thing. And then if you don't want to do that, I mean, I just find it difficult to believe that several people from Philadelphia aren't going to score like 20 fantasy points. Whether it be Hurts and AJ Brown or Hurts and Devontae Smith or one of those two or Barkley. I bet you at least two of those four guys score 20 fantasy points. And hell, if you want to play Bowers, you know what I mean, as a run back, it's perfectly reasonable. But for all the things that I mentioned earlier about what teams have to do that really need to win now, and I think the Eagles sufficiently need to win right now to get their shit together. I think there's going to be nothing given away. You know what I mean? Like I think that if the Raiders score, they're going to have to earn it. And quite honestly, I've not seen anything from the Raiders saying that they could score when they need to earn it. Okay. So Philly, maybe like everybody else is going to do. I mean, I think their offense is well primed here. I don't know what Philly's defense is. Their price is.
They're 39.
Yeah, they're another 39.
38. Sorry.
But this seems like a blowout win.
I totally agree with everything you said. That's exactly my thoughts coming in. However, I'm starting to actually examine Philadelphia being how good they are. Look, I know they've got a good offensive line. I know they've got a good defensive line. I don't know what the hell else is going on with this team. It's pretty bad. But I agree. I agree with the Barkley, although I actually don't think he's looked good. I don't think he looked good last week. I think he had the one play and he really didn't do anything else. And honestly, it's not even that he didn't look good. He's playing a maximum of 2 downs. A lot of the times he's only playing like 1 down. And it's just strange to me in like these important games. Why is that happening? Why don't they just go to bed? I mean, if I were them, I'd be pounding it. And then, okay, if we have to throw on 3rd down, we will. Like, I don't know what they're doing, especially against some of the teams they faced. So anyway, but I like all the 3 studs from Philly. I'm not especially interested in Goddard. Bowers, it could have a game just based on volume, but I actually like Trey Tucker a little bit this week. I don't trust Philadelphia's pass coverage entirely, even though they were good last week. And I think Trey Tucker can catch enough underneath passes to become, viable. I guess that's it. I know Lockett had a better game last week. Tucker, I think, is mildly interesting, only because I might want to run back, but I don't think I need to run back because I do think that this is going to be just a smashing. However, everything I'm seeing from Philadelphia lately has not made me feel great about that. And I actually thought for a second before we came on today and did this, that you were going to say, you know what, right when no one expects it, what about Gino's last stand? And they did, if I'm not mistaken, they fired the coordinator who, by the way, did you see this whole news thing? Chip Kelly was sending him the wrong plays on purpose.
What?
Oh, sorry, sending him plays that were not in the playbook on purpose. And Chip Kelly did not know the playbook. At some point, maybe that comes back to Geno Smith's favor, or at least he gets another chance in the league, because that's pretty egregious. And this is not like just a rumor thing. This is like reporting by real reporters.
Every game that I've seen Geno play this year, he's like in complete dire pain. Okay, like. Yeah. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, he was like trying to ride the bike, and they were down 100 points. There was no need for him to come back in the game. They made him come back in the game. Last week, they had some mercy and took him out. I guess when his shoulder was hurting. Yeah. I don't. I mean, like I said, you can't just keep on taking that kind of punishment when you're never going to win. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think this is the give up game. That's just my vibe. We'll see what happens.
Well, we know they want to cover those Sheets.
They do.
You know the Raiders want to cover.
Yeah, but
we agree with
the spread's like 13, right? I mean,
they can still cover. There's a lot of backdoor coverage opportunity there.
I mean, that means that the backdoor coverage means that the Eagles are going to have a minimum of 20 points before.
Right? It hasn't happened in forever.
Right.
No, it's true. 21 has been like their high recently. They couldn't score on the Cowboys defense. I mean, I don't know. And the Cowboys are better, but they didn't look so much better last week.
Yeah.
All right, Green Bay and Denver. Got some. Well, we've got one really fun afternoon game. Sheets, what do you think about this game? Because I was having trouble deciding if anything made sense to me at all.
No, I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it'll be good. Listen, it's going to be a really good game. I mean, it could be like a preview or something. I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. These are two teams that, on the one hand, nobody actually believes in, but like some, you know what I mean? Green Bay has always been like the analytics, internals darling. Like they get a lot of respect, and Denver gets zero. I guess I kind of lean towards Denver, I guess, in this game, but
why is Denver the 2.5-point underdog? Talk about disrespect.
Yeah, well, that's what I just said. I mean, Green Bay is just pounded away by Vegas like every week.
Yep, you're right.
And that's how they were only a 2-point underdog to Detroit on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they're the Detroit kryptonite. They're literally built this team just to beat Detroit. I swear. Yeah. They have everything they do is what Detroit can't do. It's crazy.
In any case, I'm probably. I mean, I don't want to play Denver guys against Green Bay's defense. I don't really want to play kind of a well-dispersed Green Bay offense. You know what I mean? At Denver, Josh Jacobs. Ooh, that's just rough in this spot. That's the best way I can describe it.
Yeah, I think that if I had to talk myself into anything, it would be like some sort of maybe a Cortland Sutton or Troy Franklin. But that's pretty much all I have on my list as viable. I don't really like anything else. Maybe. I just think, no, it never works out with him. I still believe Evan Ingram's talented. He just never puts up anything. All right, Sheets, here's the game I'm most looking forward to watching this week. Not necessarily the best game, but just one of them. And I'm really excited about this one. So what are your thoughts DFS-wise for the Detroit LA?
I really would love to figure out a way for this game to bust. Just can't find it right now. It's like, I mean, you got weather, you got perfect weather, right? You got two teams that can put up freaking points. And unfortunately for the Rams, we've seen the Rams been able to give up some too, A
lot of them are meaningless points.
Yeah, I understand. Detroit can give up some points too. So the only thing that could, stop the game from smashing is just the prices of some of these guys, You have Nakua 87, I guess that's sort of cheap when you think about it. Devontae Adams is not exactly the greatest price at 7,200, I suppose.
No.
And Detroit, St. Brown is, I guess, fair enough at 7,900. Williams is now a little bit, I would say pricey, but at least fair.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to play some Tesla at 35. I don't know. But the game has just got to score. I just think it does. Let me see what Gibbs is.
He's 88.
I'm not playing him at 8,800 against the Rams. This is not happening. And let's look at the Rams offense. They're running best. I don't know which one to play, so probably not going to play them. So you know what? I can get away from this. I don't have to make a full stack out of this. But don't be surprised, obviously, if anybody from this game just goes crazy.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time not wanting to do the Stafford stacks, even knowing that it's going to have some ownership. But it is going to be expensive, so maybe it's not going to be as popular as we think. Look, in terms of priority, I don't care what the matchup is for Jahmyr Gibbs. I really just think he's that good. I think he's the best player in football offensively. That's our best running back in football. And I'm not even sure who we're debating. Like, who's better than him? I really want to know because he's splitting time with another awesome running back. David Montgomery is probably a top 12, 13 running back at worst. They just happen to be on the same team. And they're a little different types of backs. But Jahmyr Gibbs has the highest ceiling in football. Look at this. Look at these games. I mean, what are we talking? 37, 58, 41. He's just a monster. And even in a tough, the Rams have been good against the run this season. I'm kind of look, if we can find some value, and I have a feeling some's going to be there by the time we all, we click our lineups in. I think Nakua Gibbs is like, you might get like 80 out of those guys. Like it's crazy, I know, but it's, or even Amon-Ra on the other side with Nakua. I think they're both interesting. I think Jamison Williams is going to be interesting at low ownership because I don't think he'll have ownership this week. And the Rams, the general way to beat them is by the passing game. I just wanted to throw out Gibbs because Gibbs is so good. But yeah, a lot to like, and a lot of very, very difficult pricing. And I think it's actually going to end up being lower owned than the projections are going to say. That's my guess, because it is really hard to get that pricing. It's hard to get those guys in. Also, we might have we might have Chase in the earlier window without Higgins against Baltimore. It's going to be hard to argue these guys over him, and it's going to be hard to play them together. So I'm really curious where the ownership ends up on that one, but I have that as a game to target for sure. And Nakua is right now my favorite play in the game.
So I think, I mean, again, I haven't looked at any content, whatever. I imagine this next game is going to be kind of like the hipster stack of the week, right? The Carolina New Orleans game is just going to be the one that people want to feel like a genius for playing, and I think it might end up chalk by the end of the day. For all the things I've said about the Saints all year long. I mean, they play fast, they give up stuff, and now they've actually Tyler Shough is playing great. He just is.
Looks good.
He's playing great. Bryce Young he could be total Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde or whatever. But this one's in New Orleans with the weather and all this stuff, and I think these two could put up 60 in this game. These points. I mean, I do. I think I'm here for it. I think I'm here for the overpriced, for the overowned McMillan. I'm here for the overowned Chris Olave, I guess. But I'm definitely going to be here for I don't know how he's going to be owned, but I'm definitely here for the Rico Dowdle. Yeah, I'll be the sucker. I'll go back. Listen, like they say, you play him every week. You can't give up now. So last week, the Saints, they put up a lot, and as did the whatever. So I like this game. I think they score a ton. It's got they're right up against the Rams, Detroit, in as far as the slate window goes, 425. So I don't know. I don't know what how ownership is going to play out, but I like this game quite a bit.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm not quite as high on this one, although I'm looking for some sources of value because the games I do like are very expensive. I like Juwan Johnson a lot. That's one I think he tackled inside the 5 twice last week on 2 separate.
I didn't see that. That's brutal.
So that's just going to happen sometimes, and I'll bet on the upside. Chris Olave had a similar one where I think his foot touched out of bounds or something. I remember some play where he should have scored last week. I don't remember exactly what it was. I think these guys are fine. I think Vele is probably the other one I would consider for a value play. But I'm not excited about anything here except for maybe getting to a little bit of Dowdle. I'll just get worried with this. I get worried about it, man, with this the
Hubbard or whatever.
Because Hubbard gets a lot of this stuff, and it should be noted too that Neal hasn't put up these games, but this is a team that you can get to on the ground, and he's been getting tons of touches. So if we don't have Kamara again, which I don't think we will, I think Neal is at least in play. So Juwan Johnson, my favorite piece. Nobody else that I'm prioritizing, but I wouldn't cross it off if I was to end up with a stack like that. Oh brother, what are we doing here, Sheets? It's going to be rainy in Seattle and cold, and I think we've got Brett Rippon as the projected starter for Indianapolis.
It's not Phillip Rivers.
I don't know if they're going to do it the first week. I think they're going to probably. I think they know they're losing this game anyway.
They should literally
If you throw Phillip Rivers,
they should start Jonathan Taylor at quarterback.
If you start Phillip Rivers, and I heard a great story. I'm just gonna tell you really quickly. I know we got to go soon, but Phillip Rivers, by the way, was in when 2 years ago when San Francisco was almost in the Super Bowl, but they lost to the Eagles. It was a really close game. Well, it was a close game until Brock Purdy got hurt, and Brock Purdy was not going to be able to play in the Super Bowl. And San Francisco's plan, they even came up with it during the game. Shanahan said, my plan was to have Phillip Rivers as our quarterback for the Super Bowl, which there was a lot of speculation that it would be McCaffrey if they were to win that game or whatnot. I thought that was interesting. So this Phillip Rivers stuff has not, apparently it's been talked about around the league for a little while now. The people know that he's ready to go. I don't think sending him out there against Seattle in his first game in an out of conference game would make any sense. So I can't imagine that he plays.
Well, let me ask you this then. Okay, so easy gut reaction is Indianapolis will not score, right? That's gut reaction. But okay, you want to look at another way? How about this? Like, regardless of what quarterback they throw out there, it's just going to be a shit show. So why not just play Jonathan Taylor when no one's going to play him? I imagine when you know that that's literally their only path to any offense.
And he's cheaper now too.
Is to get him the ball.
Yeah.
I'm kind of down with this. You know what I mean? Like it's Seattle's going to win regardless. And so you never know. I mean, you never know what Taylor could put up here, you know? So I don't know. That would be my thing to do on the Indianapolis side. And Seattle, I mean, what's their defense going to be? 8,000? I mean, whatever it is. I think
they're 3,700, and I feel like
it's too cheap, you know? I mean, it just is.
Yeah.
You play them, you take the 8 point. I say this every week. Like they have an 8 point floor in this game with upside to 25, you know, and that's just what it is. I just don't know. Again, like I was about to say, what kind of passing attack Indianapolis is going to try here, but even still, I mean, Seattle defense, you can play JSN if you want, but again, like I don't know if they're going to need him. You know what I mean? Like they're going to need, well, whether they need him or not, he can still get 2 touchdowns on 100 yards, right? So I don't know. Probably fight the urge to play Kenneth Walker. You know what I mean? Which you're going to want to do. You know, it's a 13. They're a 13-point favorite at home. You know, you want to play. And Kenneth Walker's. Oh my God, he's 5,600. I mean,
I still don't believe that he's even the main running back. I'm still on that train.
You know, you play Shaheed if you want at 4,600. That's something you can do. But I don't know. What are your thoughts here?
I just think so. I guess you always have to have JSN in your pool, but he's clearly going to be less interesting than the other guys this week. I mean, you got Nakua, you've got Nakua, St. Brown, and Jamar Chase are all much better plays on paper, and they're cheaper. Or some are Chase's, I believe, is cheaper. But it's a good matchup. I just don't think people are going to play him that much. I agree with you about your Taylor take, but the actual take that I have is that what is a quarterback who doesn't play much his best friend is a tight end? Seattle's one defensive weakness is they're more than willing to give it up to the tight ends. I love TJ Warren, and it's probably swapped off. But I think I think Warren is I'm sorry, Tyler Warren. I said TJ Warren.
TJ Warren. No, I'd love to play him again.
TJ, yeah, we can't. He got hurt after scoring like 75 fantasy points, and we have never seen him since.
Yeah.
But Tyler Warren, I think, is a very interesting tournament play. I also think AJ Barner's is solid, and I will probably, if for my lineups that aren't going well, I will do my Zach Charbonnet thing again. I think there's upside here, and I don't understand the difference. I mean, we keep seeing Kenneth Walker in these great game scripts and the great matchups, and what does he do? Nothing every single time. I'm not falling for that one. If I'm going to take the chance, give me the guy who's a little bit cheaper, who's going to be 1/100th the ownership. So I would play Zach Charbonnet over Kenneth Walker just as of right now. That's where I'm at. And by the way, neither of them may be playing after the halfway through the third quarter. Tennessee, San Francisco, Sheets.
Well, you know what I'm doing here.
And by the way, Seattle is the number 1 defense this week. I don't think it's even close.
You know what I'm doing this week. I'm going right back to it. I'm just going to go right back to it. F San Francisco and their freaking suspect defense.
Oh, okay.
I'm not interested. I'm just not interested at all. Now, what a stat line. The Tennessee put up 31 points, and it was good for 12 fantasy points for Cam Ward.
Right. Tony Pollard out of nowhere just with a massive game.
Yeah, I'm down with all of it for Tennessee. I mean, this is like a perfect game for San Francisco to be flat. You know what I mean? They're a 100-point favorite. You know what I mean? They're at home and all this stuff. And I've said all year that there's going to be a game that Cam Ward breaks out. and I'm just not backing down on that. So I'm gonna play it. They still have the free receivers, right? Yep, 4,300 and 3,500 for DK and Ayaminore, whatever, and Chig at 3,300, and like you said, Tony Pollard 5,200. I'm gonna try all that. The question really is what you do on the San Francisco side. I imagine that you know that McCaffrey is going to get as much work as needed. You know what I mean? Like they want to do those drives down the field where he touches the ball every time and then gets in the end zone and then whatever. So you're just gonna have to play him, I think. At 9K, I just think you're gonna have to play him. I don't want to play Purdy. I don't want to play these receivers. I don't know. Kittle at 5,400. That's always decent. But I don't know. 4:25 p.m. Listen, look, check this out, man. You got a full slate at 4:25.
It's going to be a good one.
You got five games to choose from, and who needs to play Stafford, Nakua, Devontae Adams, Jared Goff, and Amon-Ra St. Brown when you could go play Carolina and Tennessee? That's my motto. So I'm probably gonna be doing some of that. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, I don't mind it. By the way, I mean, we joke about it, but all you had to do was do the other side of that game, and you were right. Because it ended up just being the Shador thing. But and that was fluky too, because they also wouldn't let him run plays within inside 5 yards. It was all the running backs.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, McCaffrey is I just have San Francisco's stack as a thing, and I like. I was really hating myself for not getting to more of it for a minute because Ayaminore and DK both had the touchdowns, and I was like, oh, they're going to go off today. Well, they didn't end up doing much, but both those guys are on my list again. Ayaminore and DK for Tennessee, and then I like everybody from San Francisco, but the main ones would be Kittle and McCaffrey, and maybe they don't take it as hard on these guys have all been banged up all year and playing banged up. If they are able to control it, I don't see it being a huge game from Jennings or Pearsall. However, if the game is a little bit of a battle, those guys come into play as well. So I'm not with you on the Tennessee stack, but I don't hate the idea. San Francisco suspect. I agree, suspect defense. I think you can throw the ball on them. I just wish Cam Ward ran the ball a little bit more. I think I would side with Mariota as the quarterback instead of a guy like him.
Well, the good news about being Wednesday is I have plenty of time to forget about my take and not play it.
But I know you're not going to forget about it.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, well, it's cool. I got 17 plays that I've circled as targets, and that'll probably be the main thing I go with, depending on what happens between now and Sunday, which obviously will be a lot.
But just to summarize here, I am going to be playing this Carolina New Orleans game. That is for sure. And I'm going to find it difficult to not play the Eagles.
I'm with you on that one too.
That's almost for sure. And it's going to be tough for me to not play the Bengals. Everything else is kind of, as far as game environments, is up in the air for me. The Houston game looks, Willie Marks is going to be a good play. You can find good plays. New England Buffalo, again, I don't know who to play on the other sides of those games. Tyrone Tracy, I think, could be an interesting running back. Green Bay, Denver, not really. Detroit, the Rams. Again, I could get away from it only because I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's expensive.
I have a feeling that's what everything's going to happen. That's my take, my prediction. But we'll see. I mean, because people are late swap is a whole different thing, so I don't know. And I guess my biggest take is this will be the highest scoring slate of the year so far.
Ooh.
I just think there's too much out there. This is the highest total slate. And I think we will have enough value, as always happens this time of year, that we don't even know about yet. So I just that's what I'd be looking at. I mean, what if Tracy's out, for example? What do we do with a guy like Singletary against Washington? I think you got to play him. You know what I mean? You're going to have some cheap plays that will allow you to get up.
That is a sure thing to bust, right? I mean,
it's going to be I'm saying, but everybody will do it. I'm saying
it's going to be the Eric Gray experience, right?
Which is funny because we've been playing him as the other running back in smaller slates, and it's worked.
Yeah.
A lot to figure out still. We'll be live Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern for football. Good luck, guys. We're live nightly for basketball, and usually 90 minutes before the slate, but actually we've been doing a little bit closer to the slate lock recently with these